All right. This is Mike Wall back again with another episode of the Agent Revolution podcast, where we deconstruct some of the biggest challenges facing today's real estate agent so that they can conduct an amazing business to help them live the lifestyle and the dreams that they want to live. Today, I'm joined by my man, Mr. Chris Craddock, Richmond, Virginia's own Mega Agent. Brother, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well, man. I'm doing really well. Quick backstory on Chris. So I wanted to have Chris on for two reasons. Number one, because he and his team there in Virginia are absolutely destroying it. They're a $120 million team. They're $2 million in gross commissions, and certainly want to hear more about that. But number two, I just wanted to get your perspective on the marketing game, man. There's a lot going on. You're a fellow podcaster. I get a lot of your content through email. And so I'm interested to pick your brain on some of that stuff. So without further ado, you ready to get this show on the road, brother?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right, man. All right. Well, first of all, I always start the show. Tell me a little bit about how your background, how you got into real estate, and where you are today.
Yeah, sure. And actually, I apologize for whatever reason. My whole family descended. We got a pretty big house, but I've got 6 kids. So ended up, this was like the only quiet space in my area today. So instead of trying to keep everybody quiet. So hopefully everything's good and, everything's not too loud out here. But anyway.
The background's actually awesome, brother. You got trees, sunshine. It looks like you're in nature.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good. So, but yeah, no, so for me, I got, I was on staff with an organization called Young Life right when I got married. I loved Young Life. It was awesome, changed my life, and it was great. But I made $20,000 a year. And so I live in the DC area. We have an expansion team down in Richmond as well, but I personally live in the DC area. And you just can't live in the DC area on $20,000 a year. So when my wife got pregnant, I went to the library, read every book on flipping houses, started flipping houses, made 12 times what I made in a year in about 4 months. And again, just like running, I always say imperfect action trumps perfect action any day of the week. So I just started running, knocking on doors, doing everything I could to just build, do any deals I could do, and made a lot of money, bought the house I live in now, and then kind of took a break and went back to doing ministry stuff for a long time. And then, as we have more and more kids, we have 6 kids, and man, I probably should have just bought a TV, got an easier hobby, but we got 6 kids, and the money just disappears. And so I started flipping houses again. And then, I also have a doctorate in leadership. And so I ended up really reading the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and I saw like the idea of building a team, and it just made sense to me. And so we started building a team, and, I guess it was December 2014 when we started really launching. And in the 5th year, last year, we did 120 million. And I think it was like 2.6 million in GC, 2.7 million in GCI, something like that. So it was great. And that doesn't include like the investor stuff that we do as well. So yeah, it's been just a wild ride, been a lot of fun.
That's great stuff, dude. There's a lot really to unpack there too. So what's interesting to me is that, you got into the investment side first, and then that kind of led into the, residential real estate side where you're working with buyers and sellers. So I'm curious, at what point during your investment career did you decide to start listing and selling homes and building a team? Where were you? What helped you make that decision?
Well, there were a number of things. I'll tell you, one of the things, so I made a lot of money investing, and then I also got, I'm a go big or go home kind of guy. And so I ended up just doing just a massive amount of deals, and so many deals that I couldn't keep up. And honestly, my overhead was getting out of control, and I had a couple other business partners, and it was kind of a necessity, really, was going in to make some money to cover overhead while we were waiting for deals to be finished. I mean, we had $10 million out of money out at the time. And so we just kind of, it's just interesting when your back's against the wall, you learn how to run fast. And so it was really, really cool because, back was against the wall. We had to just start doing a lot of business and do a lot of business fast. So we did that. And, just by doing that, then it also helped us, as I grew as a business owner, it also helped me learn how to fix. And, I still do a lot of investor stuff, a lot of investment stuff now. And it just taught me how to fix the things that were broken and be able to build other businesses as well, which, is a big piece of what we do too. I've got a number of other businesses that all, that are all synergistic to the real estate world.
Sure.
But yeah, that was kind of the deal.
That's awesome, man. And so how is your team structured today?
Yeah, so I believe we have 14 agents in the DC Metro, DC, Virginia, Maryland area. And we've got, I think it's 8 agents down in Richmond. And then we have 5 in-house, or 6. We just hired somebody else. We have 6 in-house back office staff, and then 9 virtual assistants overseas. And so that's how we run.
Okay. Are you guys running with any ISAs?
Yeah, we do have we have one ISA, and we actually just last week hired 4 virtual ISAs, overseas. So we're doing a lot of training and working to launch them. So too early to say any success or failure on that, but we're just working on the launch right now.
Yep, that's awesome, man. And so the agents on your team, are they both listing and buyer specialists?
So we let our agents do whatever they come across. But the stuff that comes in for us, we specify agents that we give our listing leads to certain listing agents, and we give our buyer leads to certain buyer agents. But then if they come across buyers or listings, then we'll let them do that. We do have a couple agents that are on salary, a bunch of different salaries with smaller commission splits as well. And that, that works really well. Different agents are on different salaries across the board, but mostly most of our agents are commission only.
Interesting, man. So you're trying the salary model out. How's that working out? I mean, it sounds like you guys are having some success.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, it's just been incredible. Some of them are doing really, really well. Now, they also have we're bringing them into part of our leadership as well. So they have some of the some teaching functions, some other function as well, where they're taking some of the stuff off my plate. And I'll tell you that, I don't know if you've seen this a lot, but I've seen it with myself and with a lot of other people. When you start, it's like you and maybe 1 or 2 other rock star, folks, and then everybody else. There's just a massive difference. And then as you grow, as you get better and better, the cool thing is you start attracting people that are rock stars and amazing in their own right. And that's kind of what's starting to happen with that. So we're bringing them on in leadership to kind of help grow the rest of the team. And it's been amazing for our team. It's made our team culture so much better. It's just been incredible. Yeah.
So how is your lead gen structured? Are you providing some sort of an internet lead gen source, and then also your agents are prospecting for new business, maybe using a Mojo dialer or expired and for sale by owner data? Is that basically how you're structured?
Yeah, so we do a lot of so one of our pillars of business is our sphere. It's just a huge thing. I was in ministry forever. I've got a massive sphere. I really believe that if you care for your people in your world, they're going to care for you. And so, I mean, how I built my business, and I have our agents do this as well. I mean, it was much more systematic than when I started. Yeah. But when I started, it was like literally I would just open up my phone and just go to the A's and just call all the A's. Hey, how are you doing? Because when I was in ministry, that's what I do. I just call, like if I had a free day, I would just call everybody in my A's. Then I call everybody in my B's, just ask what they're doing, how I could care for them, what's going on in their life, stuff like that. And so we just started doing that with our whole team as far as the sphere goes. And then we got a little bit more event driven, where we have events a couple times a year, and we invite people to the events. So because we don't want to call people and just ask them for help. We want to call and offer more value than we're asking for,
right.
So we started doing that. And then, we have a number of the online, the Zillow, the pay-per-click, just all of the other stuff going on there. And that comes in mainly to our ISAs. Now during off hours, it goes to our agents, and they kind of have their Shark Tank where the first agent to pick it up gets it. And they have to qualify to stay there. Like if they're not closing deals, they don't stay there. It costs a lot in the DC area and in the Richmond area. It costs a lot of money to get leads. And so if they're getting leads and not closing them, then, well, I don't want to pay for leads. It's a meritocracy. We don't get participation trophies in life. Right. Yeah. And so, so that's the deal. But if you're doing well, man, you're going to have as many opportunities as you want. And then we have listing leads as well. A lot of listing leads that come in, and let's see, we got, I guess 5 of our agents get the listing leads, and they go on those, and we hold them accountable. Every single lead has to have a you have to mark within 72 hours of the appointment. You have to mark in the CRM. Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Yep.
You just said you guys had to mark in the CRM.
Yeah, they have to mark it in the CRM, and every single lead has to have a to-do. If you don't have a to-do, then it doesn't exist. And what we found is we're going to lose that lead. If we don't take care of it, we're going to lose it to another team. So we might as well lose it to our own team. So you've got 72 hours to get that to-do and to get it recorded. Or I don't care, even if you have the listing agreement signed, you lose that listing lead to another agent on the team. And we had a big conversation where we all had buy-in, and we said, hey, 72 hours is enough time. This is the deal. So yeah, that's kind of how that rolls.
Yeah. Both DC and Richmond are uber competitive markets, man. And I know what you mean. The CPL, the cost per lead there is extremely high because it's so competitive. And not to mention, you guys have, what's your average sale price?
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
What's your average sale price?
Average sale price up here. Now it gets pushed down because we do a lot of distress and, distress. So it gets pushed down. So here in the DC area, we're, about it's just under 4. In the Richmond area, it's about 250.
Right. Is that what's your average MLS sale price?
500 up here and 250 down in Richmond.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's that's obviously a good price point. So let me ask you this, man. Are there any obstacles or events that stick out that you think play a major role in the success of your business?
Yeah, well, I think, I do a lot of teaching on investing as well. I think that's a big thing. Grant Cardone says the biggest problem with real estate agents, they don't buy their own product. And, but one of the things whenever I teach an investing class, I always talk about this. I think that, our relationships are an asset. And so I'm in this mastermind, and part of the mastermind, we had to, we met with a guy who, a psychologist, I guess, but, does a lot of business stuff, getting in your head and trying to help you understand your life, where you are, what drives you, all that. And one of the things I looked at when I looked at my life map is every time I had a massive leveling up, it always coincided with new relationships that I formed. And I'll tell you, man, people that think bigger than you think people that think better than you think in these areas will make you better. And it's not just business and money, but it's also family. It's also fitness. It's just lots of different areas that where it makes us better. And literally all these leveling ups just always coincides with new friendships and people that make me think bigger than I think.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, man, because we have this conversation all the time. When you talk about relationships being assets, I firmly believe that as well, because if you think about it, like every sale you've ever made, every investment deal you've ever done, every buyer you've ever sold, every listing you've ever sold started from one place. It started from a conversation with a human being, right? So people always come to me and they say, hey, Mike, how do I sell more real estate? I'm saying, well, have more conversations. That's really all you need to do. The formula is extremely simple. It's the execution that people, that they make hard, and it's not really that hard. But the reality of it is, what you said, starting in the A's and then going to the B's and the C's and the D's, that still works today. By the way, that still works, and the fundamentals will really never change, because what you were doing there is essentially you were scaling away, you were creating a way for yourself to have conversations. Now, what's great about the way you did that is, you were already calling people who know, like, and trust you, right? With an internet lead or a Zillow lead or, one of your listing leads. See, that's the missing component, right? And so that becomes more of a challenge. And I think that scares people more sometimes, is because now you've got to be able to build rapport. You've got to be able to do that over the phone, so that consumer will then know, like, and trust you, and then use you to buy and sell, right? And that's what makes this game so interesting to me is, there's a big, and I'm probably guessing you believe this as well. We have a lot of really skilled people that have an improper mindset. And what I mean by that is they have all the skills in the world. They know exactly what to do, but they just don't do it because they don't have the right mindset. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of the biggest things. One of the classes I love to teach is called Mindset to a Million. And it's the idea of, how do you take home, not just make, but take home 7 figures. And the biggest block is right here, you know, how we think, how we see. And I think it's that people are afraid of imperfect action. They let the perfect keep you from doing imperfect things and get progress, you know, progress, not perfection. And, you know, I heard a friend of mine say this the other day. He was talking about the movie Ender's Game. I know it was a book too, but he was talking about in the movie, Harrison Ford, they were talking about this, you know, child general, and they're like, he's not ready. And he's like, you'll never be ready. Is he ready enough? You know, you know, that's that idea. It's just like, we're never going to be ready to actually go out and talk to people, because there's going to be stuff we're not. Somebody will come up with something that you don't know how to answer, but are you ready enough?
Right. That's a great way to put it, man. Because it's really what you want to do is you just want to get in there and fail fast and fail often, because essentially that's the way you're going to learn. When we bring somebody in, I'm like, we put them right on the phones, man. You know what I mean? It's like, go make all the mistakes. Listen, I'm all about it right now. I want you to make as possible, because I know that's how you're going to get to where you need to go. And so we support that, because I think most people come in and they're afraid to fail, right? They started a new job. They started a new career in real estate, and they don't want to make any mistakes. And I'm the opposite. I'm like, yes, make all the mistakes you can. You know, we're here to help prevent some of those, but certainly I want you to go out and make as many mistakes as possible, because that's really how you're going to learn and grow and get better.
Right. 100%. Absolutely.
So, hey, Chris, what's an area of your business right now that you feel absolutely that you are crushing it in?
Working with investors. You know, I'm actually building out a class on this, how to work with investors. I mean, investors are, if you are not investing in real estate, there's a problem. Then there's all these investors that are investing in real estate, and they have lots of seller leads that they just throw them away. And so, because they've tried to work with agents, and agents, I mean, frankly, let's just be honest, agents don't know how to treat investor leads right. And so they're just throwing those away over and over and over again. So that's one of the biggest things that we're doing, is working with investors, because investors have a lot of seller leads. And in our market, inventory is so low. It's just really important to be able to have a lot of listings.
Yeah. It's funny. And like you said, really a lot of that is about mindset, right? It's like you have an agent when they are going on an appointment and they're so hyper-focused on a listing that they don't see a $50,000 assignment fee right in front of them. You know what I mean? But just because they're not trained to see that, right? All they saw was the $10,000 commission, right? Because that's what they went in looking for.
Yeah, and see, that's the future of real estate, is like, we see the iBuyers. There's no reason why Zillow, I mean, let's just be honest. I think the Zillow people, I think Open Door, all these people are really smart people with billions of dollars backing them. If you look at all of it together, I mean, it's just so much money backing them. And they know that these instant offers are where things are headed. And we as real estate agents, we think that, you know, we're always trying to jam the square peg in the round hole, and it just doesn't work.
Right. So what's the rock in your shoe right now? What's the biggest challenge that you face?
Oh man. Just so what I am constantly doing is working towards leverage, is giving away more and more and more of the things I do every day. You know, I keep joking that you know, ever since this quarantine started, I'm only working half days, you know, 7 to 7. But it's been like, it's just been crazy. And you know, the more business, you know, I feel like I'm slightly drowning in opportunity. And so I just need to continue to take more of what I'm doing and giving them away. And there's a book, the guy, Mike, whatever his name is, who wrote Profit First, wrote, what's his last name? Come on. You know what I'm talking about.
No, it's not. It's Profit First. I don't know. We can look at people know it. Profit First, though, is a well-known book, though, within our industry.
Yeah, he also wrote a book called Clockwork. And the whole idea was like, take everything you do during the day and write it on a sticky pad and then put it on a wall. And then just like every single day, try to find one of those things that you can take that sticky pad off and put somebody else's name on it. Yeah. And so that you can begin to leverage yourself and really get, you know, I have a big sign in my office that says, are you in your genius zone? And like all of us have this genius zone, but as soon as we start doing things that are not in the genius zone, we're never going to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. So that's kind of what I'm really working towards is finding leverage at a new, bigger and better level.
Yeah, that's what they say about making your first hire in it, is it right? You take all the things that you hate doing, you write them down on a list, and that becomes the job description of your first admin, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I hear Ben Kelly say this. I really love this. I've really internalized it. He's like, you look at your dollar per hour, and then you look at anything you're doing, and we should all know what our dollar per hour is. And everything that we're doing, we need to look at that and we need to say, is this worth more or less than the dollar per hour that you are making? And if it's worth less, then you need to leverage it off to somebody else, and then your dollar per hour will just continue to go up.
Yeah. Do you think that's a big hurdle for a lot of agents, because they think their mindset is that, I don't want to give this away because nobody can do it better than me? How do you overcome something like that, Chris?
You know what? I think there's two things. One, they say nobody can do this better than me, which one is bogus. But two is, they might not do it better than you at the beginning. But some of these listings that I take, I'll tell you what, our listing percentage went way up when I took me and put in a couple other people for me. Now, some of them, their closing percentage per person was a little bit less than mine, but they could follow up much better than I could follow up. And so they're actually closing a lot more deals. They're closing less on the first appointment, but closing more overall because there's more people doing it. And then frankly, you know what? There's some of the people taking our listings, they're better than me, at some of the stuff that they're doing. And it's just crazy to just say that this is the only thing that you can do. It's bogus. But here's the other thing. Here's why we are afraid to leverage. And I'll tell you, this again was a leveling up that I had when I first started with the investing world. One of my buddies who was a business partner of mine said, hey, why don't we hire somebody to go, like, I asked them to go put a lockbox on a door about an hour away. We live in the DC area. It takes 10 minutes, but an hour if there's traffic. But it was an hour away during the day. And he's just like, let's get a VA to do. And I thought he was being lazy, honestly. He's like, hey, let's get an assistant to go do it. And honestly, I got into a big argument with him. I'm like, just do it. It's like, what is this above? Are you above this? Kind of idea. And he's like, it's just not worth my time. And we got into a big argument about it. But honestly, what I learned later was during that hour, he could have made enough phone calls, and especially knowing that at the time, it took about 33 phone calls to get a deal, which almost an hour of just uninterrupted calls, you're going to get close to a deal. And that deal would make way more money than that $20 you'd pay somebody to go do that. I just didn't know leverage at the time. And part of it too was I was insecure about my dollar per hour. And so that's also why we don't hire people, is because sometimes we're slightly insecure and nobody wants to really admit their insecurities. Let's be honest. We all want to, real estate's all about smoke and mirrors, but we were insecure about our dollar per hour. Could I really make up that $20 that I was giving somebody to go do that in an hour? And then once you start doing deals at a high level and you become confident that you're worth more than $20 an hour during that time, then you can hire somebody and then you can replace that $20 an hour work for $50 an hour. And if you make $100,000, your dollar per hour is worth $50,000. If you make $1 million a year, your dollar per hour is worth $500. So you just got to know where you are in that spectrum for your dollar per hour and just keep leveling yourself up.
Yeah. So a guy like you, man, almost $3 million in GCI, $120 million in volume. What does a typical day look like for you, man? Now, because I know when you play at that level, every minute of every day's got to be planned out and given the appropriate discipline. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I'll give you my quarantine days, which is pretty, I actually like them a lot. So here's what I do. I wake up early. When I was in college, I was a night person, and I branded myself a night person. I love going to bed, and honestly, I would go to bed about the time I wake up now, and I enjoyed it, and it was great. But success leaves clues always, and you're going to be hard pressed to find anybody who is like goes to bed late and wakes up late and is really successful. Maybe you'll find an outlier somewhere, but you're not going to find many. And so once I started seeing that that's the case, I started waking up earlier, and I started doing the things that I needed to do every morning. So one, I wake up in the morning, I write down my goals. I've got a journal. I've got a 5-year journal, which is really, really cool. I'm only a year into it, but it's got like every day, marked out. But a friend of mine has been doing this and, been able to look back year over year, what he was doing on that day. But I write down my goals because frankly, if you're losing motivation, it means that you're not interacting with your goals. That's 100% true. If you are not motivated, it means your goals are too far away. It means there's nothing close to the money for you where you're about to accomplish it, where you can get that instant motivation, because we're always getting more motivation or less motivation, more encouragement or less encouragement. And so if your goals are too far away, you need to interact with your goals more often and be more regular with it. So that's the one thing. The second thing is, I'm a Christian guy, so I read my Bible every morning. I pray for the people in my world every morning. I do that. So I write my goals down. I journal. I read my Bible. I go downstairs. I got a gym in my basement, and I work out. And I love the genius of the and. Jim Collins in his book Good to Great talks about the genius of the and so I take every single morning, I'm listening to something like a podcast or a book on Audible. Right now, I just got into Blinkist. I love Blinkist. It's basically like Cliff Notes of a ton of great books. Yeah. And so I'll listen to like 3 or 4 of those, in the morning while I'm working out. And then I'll go upstairs and have breakfast with my kids and my wife. My wife and I will run like our team meeting for our kids. Right. I'll go upstairs and, I'll shower, get ready for the day. And here's the crazy thing. We'll do our team meeting on Zoom. I'll set up my appointments that I need on the computer. And then I look at the things that I need to do. I make my list. It's not a to-do list because, honestly, that makes every single thing absolutely have the same value. But I rank and order the things that are important in my day. I make a list of them. And actually, this has been what's been so fun is then I'll just go out and I get my phone and I get my AirPods, or I also have a noise canceling headset, depending on how windy it is that day. And I'll just go and walk. There's like these paths that are crazy. I'm going to look and see how far I've walked today. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up on my watch. All right. So today, anyway, I
wish I had a drum roll sound effect, man.
I know. I can't figure it out right now. Hold on. It's taking forever. My watch is all jacked up.
Well, you're good, man. We started the show with some technical difficulties, so this is about par for the course for us today.
Yeah, exactly. So today I walked 15.1 miles while talking on the phone. So I just
15 miles?
15.1. Yeah.
Today?
Yep. I got it right here. I don't know if you can see. Where is it?
Wow, man. No. I believe you, brother. You look like a high energy guy. So I'm assuming your nutrition's probably in check as well, right?
I'll tell you, that is one of the areas that I struggle, but I'm doing. One of my biggest vices is that I eat my feelings, and so I struggle with that, but I'm that's an area where I'm just fighting to keep myself in check. My brother actually was way overweight and lost a lot of weight, and said to me, he's like, "Man, you're the most disciplined person I know. Why do you let yourself go and eat a whole pizza when you get stressed?" And I'm like, I don't know, but yeah, my wife says that I'm an obese person in a skinnier person's body. I just work out to cover up everything.
Walking 15 miles, I bet you burn a lot of calories, brother.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's great. It's great. So I'm beating up on myself a little more than I need to, but it's good. But yeah, so then I just walk and I go through the calls that I need to go through. And, I own a number of other businesses as well. And so I make sure that I have my weekly check-in with my business partner in each of those different businesses. And and then just make sure that for me, one of the biggest areas of growth was going from, that next appointment, that next deal, to building relationships where you can get 5 deals, 10 deals, working with builders, working with investors, working with people where one relationship has residual. And see, that's what I learned from my 2 businesses, my insurance business that I own, property casualty, and my Legal Shield business, is like, if you get paid once, then you get paid residually. And so that's that relationships where relationships will pay 10 times over versus just that one. But it's even true with Sphere, right? You do a good job for a client and they're going to refer you 10 friends, right? So it's that residual value of a relationship.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you've read Building an Empire, right? With Brian Carruthers?
Absolutely. I actually talked to Brian Carruthers earlier today.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. And so right now you've got your real estate business, you've got Legal Shield, you've got property and casualty insurance. Are you guys doing mortgage and title?
Yeah, I own a title company. We have a relationship on mortgage, and I'm actually building out some other stuff on that right now. Where just great mortgage stuff. I have a construction company, and then we've got a couple other things as well that aren't as real estate related. But yeah, those are the main things that we have going on.
Very cool, man. Very cool. What's your favorite piece of real estate technology right now, and why?
Oh, real estate technology. Let me see. I mean, honestly, it's just not even that nerdy, but I just love. We use Boomtown as our CRM.
Yep.
I love the leverage of it. The now wall. If you literally have a drip on every single person, and you have a to-do list, to do for every single person, then it just shows up and it tells you call these people, and it's just so simple. And so everybody's looking for that new sexy piece of technology, and there are a lot of sexy pieces of technology out there. But I just think, I go back to Vince Lombardi, where he's like, gentlemen, this is a football. What are the X's and O's? I watched Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, on their Amazon, discussion. And one of the things Bill said, he's like, when you lose a football game, it's because you didn't block and tackle that well.
Right.
You think it's all these other things, but it's because you didn't do the basics that well. And so that to me is what I just think is so amazing, is like, just doing the basics well. We've been just focused so much on that because we realized we were probably giving up almost $1 million a year in deals that were still in our database because we were not following up with them well, which is part of the reason why we got all these ISAs, the overseas ones. Like, their job is just literally our 15,000 people in our database that aren't being really touched or communicated with, just to be texting with them and calling and following up and just making sure that all the drips are really, really on point. And we've already gotten a ton of business from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you working with ISAs on the investment side as well?
We do some of the big investor partners that we work with some of the stuff that we do with their listings and whatnot. That's like the part of the bread and butter of their deals. But yeah, I mean, I just really feel like that is a piece of leverage. So at the beginning, when you have no money, you trade your time for dollars, right? You call. But as you start making money, you can start leveraging out different pieces of what you do. And I think ISAs are a real big piece of leveraging that out, because then at some point they can strain out the bad deals and the good deals. And then you're just spending all your time talking to the ones that are ready and motivated, ready, willing, and able.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you split out? I'm assuming your two big oil wells right now are your real estate investment business and your real estate team, right? How much time do you spend in both of those businesses?
I spend most of the time with my team. The investment stuff all kind of falls under the team. We do a lot of stuff with the team there. I'll get deals. I've got a flip right now that I'm doing that just kind of accidentally fell in my lap. But I don't like the construction side. The construction business I own is a much more higher end, condo conversion stuff that we do in DC proper. And so I hate punch out stuff like that. Honestly, I'm a big picture guy. Like, I'm sure, visionary versus implementer.
Yeah. Not
the implementer guy. I literally want to put my head through a wall before I want to do the nitty gritty of making sure everything is good there. So like on the flips and everything else. So, and I just like finding deals a lot more than I like doing the deals. So I spend a lot more time with my people. And, and that was also another big piece of where we leveled up was when I realized you shouldn't treat all the people on your team the same. I mean, the people that are running big, if you help somebody that's doing 15 deals get to 40 or 50 deals, that's going to be much more beneficial than helping somebody that's doing 3 deals get to 6 deals for your business, for your team. And frankly, if somebody's only doing 3 deals, I promise you, they're not doing the things you've told them to do. They're not making the calls. They're not doing the personal education, all the stuff that again goes back to the Bill Belichick basics. They're not doing the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right, man. And there's, like, success doesn't elude you if you're doing the right things, right, in the right order. And it's the result is, and some people, it's like you can lie on your numbers, but the results will always tell the truth, right? We know that because that's reality. And
I talked to 200 people yesterday, and or every day for the last week, but I got 0 appointments. You know what? that's bogus. You don't talk to like the worst salesperson in the world, if they talk to 1,000 people a day, will beat the best salesperson in the world who talks to 10 people a day, any day of the week.
Yeah, that's so right. I told you, man, you are really you have a great energy about you, man, and it's infectious, man. I like being around you. Obviously, you and I don't know each other very well, but I'm glad we met. What is it though, man? What is it, Chris, that actually drives you?
You know what? It's so funny. You know, my dad and my brother used to put together puzzles as a kid. And the idea of sitting around and putting together a puzzle is, I mean, about as fun as getting punched in the throat, right? That is just not fun to me. But what ends up being so exciting to me is solving problems. So I realized it wasn't until about a year ago that I realized solving business puzzles, solving problems, building that and putting pieces together, man, it's the same thing as puzzles, only, you know, in a more spatial recognition way. And I love that. Like, it just makes it so great. And then the other piece, you know, like I said, I've got a doctorate in leadership. Seeing people in my world succeed and seeing people in my world be able to come up with ideas and do things where they have no ceiling. It's just, I mean, to me, that's just so exciting. And you know, there's a friend that I'm just getting to be buds with. You know, he has this coaching business, and he has all these people in his world that are all making well over $1 million a year, and he makes well over $1 million a year himself. You know, on from each one of those businesses, and I'm just like, man, if the higher you can make that threshold, that ceiling, so nobody ever feels like they're hitting a glass ceiling, you know, the more money everybody can make together, and the bigger life that everybody can live together. And it's, you know, at the end of the day, I'm doing really well. I mean, it stops being about money and it becomes more about, you know, competitive. Like I'm a sports guy. I played sports all growing up. Competitive people want to win, and the dollars end up being more about the scoreboard.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Trust me, man. I know exactly what you mean. So what's your business destination, if there is one? Where are you looking to take all this?
Well, you know, man, that's like a tenfold answer on a lot of things. But again, the best in the world make the complex simple. So the simple answer is this, is that, you know, I'd like to continue building out where we are here in Northern Virginia and Richmond. I'd love to get to 1,000 transactions a year up here and then down there as well. And then start building it out all over the place. For me personally, I see my goal as moving from actually doing some of the hands-on work to building with builders, you know, just like we did in Richmond, and helping them grow, start doing that in other places, you know, coaching and consulting and, you know, building builders. So that's kind of where I'm looking to be. And, you know, one of my friends said this to me. They said, you know, when there's a gold rush, it's not just the people that are mining for gold that make a lot of money. It's also the people that get those miners the picks and the axes. And that to me, you know, I feel like, you know, real estate's not that complex. And if you follow the steps, if you do the things that you do, like I'm seeing it on our team, the people that follow the steps are making a fortune. And so, you know, helping people just say, hey, here's the steps. And if you're not making a fortune, I know it's one of these steps that you're not following.
Yeah. I've got one more point I was just driving in the car today, man, and I was thinking I wanted to do a video on this, and I didn't, but I want to run something by you and just get your take on it, and then we'll wrap up here. But I think niching is going to become infinitely more important, and I think the reason why is that there's so much information and there's so many people that are willing to niche, and if you can niche, if you can really get good at something and become an expert, you can really make a lot of money doing it. And that includes trades. That includes being an electrician or a plumber, right? And the reason why I think is because there's so much information available to people, and there's so many distractions that if you don't, what you're gonna do is you're gonna build a bunch of 2- and 3-story buildings instead of skyscrapers. And I think the only way you're going to get around niching, and you alluded to this earlier, and I do this in my businesses, is finding leverage and finding good partnerships, right? And I know there's a lot of people that are against partnerships. There's people that say partnerships are the quickest sinking ships, right? Now, I don't believe that. I believe if you find the right person that you can, there's no limit to what you can do. in an area of business that you enjoy and then that person enjoys. And what's great about the partnership also is it frees you up to go build some of these other business. Do you see what I'm saying there? Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things Gary Keller said, who I think is just a really smart guy, he said you can have as many businesses as you want as long as it's like a separate folder, and on that folder there's a face that is not your face that's in charge of it. And so that's the big thing. So like my title company, my business partner, the attorney, he runs that. Like I don't run it. We'll talk about it. We'll brainstorm. We'll do some business strategy stuff together. But he runs that. If I were to run the day to day, I wouldn't have time to do any of the stuff that I'm doing. My construction company, my brother is my business partner there. He runs that completely. Like we'll talk about business growth. We talk almost every day. Not always just about business, but about whatever. But I mean, he runs that. My insurance company, man, I couldn't write an insurance policy to save my life, Right. And so, I've got my business partner that runs that. So that's the big thing. But here's the other thing is, you just got to be in partnership with the right people, because if you're in partnership with the wrong people, it'll sink you. And, that's just one of those huge things. I mean, it's like, the spouse you choose, anybody you choose, you're running a partnership. You better choose wisely.
Right. That's the same thing with when you're building a team out and including your team players, your admin staff, your agents, and all that. But it's a great point, man. Listen, I could talk to you for hours. You are a wealth of knowledge, man, and I've so enjoyed this interview. How can people connect with you if they want to learn more about some of the classes that you teach, or just have general business advice?
Yeah. So chriscraddock.com, my name. You can go there, the REI agent, I'm building that class out right now to teach people how to work with investors better. Just because they have just a massive amount of listing leads that they're already paying for and just throwing away. So that's one of the big things. On Instagram, Cradrock, CRADDROCK, old high school nickname, but just why not? And then, our Facebook group, Uncommon Real Estate. I've got a business page, Chris Craddock Business, as well. On there, I try to put out a lot of information. And so that's it. You can friend me on Facebook as well. And every couple of weeks I go through and start friending people. I've got just a massive amount of friend request backlog. So I apologize. Nothing personal. I just haven't gotten through all that because it is up getting away from me. But that's it. But listen, when I started building, all these people that were doing so much business were so generous with their time and so free with their time with me to help me. And so I want to give back. I want to be the same way with everybody else. So if there's a way I can help or serve you, let me know, because that's who I want to be.
I love it. It's an abundance mindset. As usual, I love sharing these stories week after week because I know this show is literally changing agents' financial lives, my own included. Do me a big favor. If you know someone that might enjoy the podcast, please share it with them. If you like the podcast, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and hit the subscribe button for me. If you want to jump on a free 30-minute business strategy session with me, go to meetmikewall.com. And if you have questions or if I can be of any service to you, feel free to DM me on Facebook. For Chris Craddock, the mega agent, the investor extraordinaire, and Mr. Mike Wall, that is it for this one. Chris, thank you so much, man.
This was awesome. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yes, sir.